of the Gods, the sequel to 2019 Shazam, and I believe this is, as of right now, the 13th, maybe 14th entry into the DC Extended Universe. Billy Batson and his foster siblings, who transform into superheroes by saying Shazam, are forced to get back into action and fight the Daughters of Atlas, who they must stop from using a weapon that could destroy the world. Now, I know I've been really hard on the DC Extended Universe from the beginning. There's been a lot here that I have been very mixed to negative on, but when there's positivity, when there's movies that I like in this universe, and they come along, I'll acknowledge that. The first Shazam was one of those movies. It's one of my favorite DC Extended Universe movies, and even though Shazam Fury of the Gods feels so pointless now because this whole universe is going to get rebooted anyways, I was still looking forward to Fury of the Gods, even though the trailers gave everything away because Warner Brothers has weird marketing like that. I don't know why they did that. And they're even spoiling something else. I'm not going to spoil it for you if you haven't seen any of the clips as to who has a cameo in this movie, but it's in the movie and it was kind of pointless to me and unnecessary. So I'm not a huge fan of the way they marketed this movie. If you've seen that second trailer for Fury of the Gods, you've seen the entire movie. Luckily, I stayed away from that trailer because that is exactly what I was fearing was going to happen with this movie because they don't care anymore. Now it's almost like we're in like the waiting room, the final moments of getting to DC Universe that's going to be rebooted in 2025 with Superman Legacy. So yeah, I did see Shazam Fury of the Gods and it's fine. You know, it's a perfectly okay movie. It's nothing special. It has its entertaining moments. It's a goofy movie. That is for sure. For better and for worse. There's the Goofy movie starring the Disney dog Goofy, and then there's Shazam Fury of the Gods, which is a complete goofy, silly, stupid superhero movie. Some of the stuff that happens in this movie, I was just sitting there and I'm like, this is the best they could come up with. This is so silly and so stupid and dumb. It's goofy. It's a goofy movie, but it makes for some entertaining scenes. The entire last hour of the movie is a superhero fan's dream and an action movie fan's dream as well, because it is essentially just all action with people using their superpowers and villains being expendable and becoming big punchy things and punch bags, and that's what you really come to expect from a superhero movie. And I will say that Shazam Fury of the Gods has more action than the original Shazam, but it doesn't have the same amount of heart. For me, the standouts were Billy Batson when he is Shazam, who's played by Zachary Levi. I was really worried with how they were going to handle Shazam in this movie because the trailers gave off that vibe that he didn't really mature enough, and he shows a bit of maturity in this movie, and there's also a lesson that he has to learn in this movie. But I will also say that Helen Mirren, to an extent, to a point in the movie, is really good, and Lucy Liu throughout the entire thing is really good. There's something here that happens with Helen Mirren's character that felt very late 2000s, early 2010s, where they do this whole cliche where she allows herself to get caught and then escapes with no real objective plan. That's the whole plan of her villain. And and I was like, is this Joker from Dark Knight or Silva from Skyfall? Those were the vibes I was getting from that, and I was like, maybe this movie's 10 years too late in that regard. I thought Lucy Liu killed it though, and the opening scene, like I said, it's goofy. It's a goofy thing. Just things that the villains do in this movie and some of the stuff that they're after. I will say that it is also really well directed by David F. Sandberg. He took it to a completely different level than he did here, than he did in the original Shazam. That seemed like a more grounded film, and you could tell he wanted to make a more action-based, a more spectacle-driven film, and I think he succeeded. That could be to this movie's detriment for a lot of people who were expecting the same vibe as the first Shazam movie. And because that direction is actually really good and he was going for that spectacle, it does lead for some slick action scenes. I was never bored watching the action scenes in this movie. That was when the movie was at its most entertaining. Where the movie falters for me is what I mentioned with Helen Mirren's character and just a muddled script that doesn't really know what it wants to do with a lot of its characters, and this plot feeling like it's a very low stakes plot. Like it doesn't feel like it has enough consequences for our world, whereas it has consequences for the world of the gods, if you know what I mean. There was also one movie I thought of when watching parts of this movie, and that was the Simpsons movie. And you'll know it when you see it. The script for this movie is a muddled mess. It's full of every superhero movie cliche you could think of. It's very over expository. It also has no clue what to do with Rachel Zegler's character. And that was my biggest issue with this movie, is that sometimes it doesn't really know what to do with its characters. Characters, specifically Rachel Zegler's character, switch allegiances a lot. Their motives aren't clear for why they switch allegiances. While the movie tries to present those characters with a gray area, you never really know where that gray area, where the line, that barrier is for that gray area. It seemed like with Rachel Zegler's character, they were just trying to make something happen with Jack Dylan Glacier's character that I didn't really buy into. And there wasn't enough time spent with that, and you could tell that that was supposed to be the main focus of her character. But I feel like they tried to do way too much with that character, and that character just got lost in the shuffle for me. There's also horrendous CGI. And some of the creatures, again, this is how the movie plays into its goofiness. And you say to yourself, those things are in a big budget superhero movie like this. The trailers gave it off, but there's dragons, mythical creatures, godlike beings that pop up, and it all looks very flimsy. There's a shot of everybody flying towards the camera from a distance, and it looked terrible. They look like cardboard cutouts, very similar to how it looked in Superman 4, where it was the same cardboard cutout of Superman flying through the city the entire time. There were a couple of copy and paste shots of a CGI Zachary Levi flying up to the screen, and it looked very flimsy and it looked very lazy. We'll give props though to the costume department, because unlike the Marvel movies, at least Fury of the Gods gave its actors suits to wear. If they were CGI, I couldn't tell that they were CGI in the close-up shots. They look like actual suits. And that's something I will always praise DC for. That's something they had the upper hand on Marvel on, where Marvel would just go down the cheap road and have somebody wear a motion capture suit, and so that they could CGI the superhero suit onto the actor later. The DC movies at least go the extra mile and give them a physical suit for them to wear while filming the movie. The script also has one too many MacGuffins. You should have no more than one MacGuffin in a movie. This movie has 3, so yes, it went over its allotted amount, and its confused tone is something that really bothered me as well. There's a lot of forced humor in this movie, very Marvel-ish humor, that doesn't land at all. I don't think I laughed one single time in this movie, unfortunately, and there are moments where it's supposed to be serious, but then somebody will cut to a joke, or it seems like it's like probably the most expository thing, and then somebody will throw just this throwaway line that's supposed to be humorous into the movie, and it didn't work. I didn't laugh. It was very, very forced. There is fun to be had with Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I think it's a well-directed movie. Some of the actors come to play. I just wish that the script wasn't as muddled and it didn't have as much of a confused tone, and it was made a little bit better when it came to CGI and how it handles its characters, because compared to the first one, it definitely goes for that action spectacle, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But all of its themes that it's trying to present get lost in that muddled script, and walking away from the movie, Lucy Liu is probably going to be the most memorable part of this movie, along with Zachary Levi as Shazam. And the action and the entertainment that comes from that action. Half the time watching this movie, I was sitting there thinking this would have been such a better movie if it was Shazam versus Black Adam. But Dwayne Johnson and his stupid ego said no. He wanted a Black Adam solo movie. This movie should have been Shazam versus Black Adam. And unfortunately, we're probably never going to get that now. I think you'll enjoy Shazam! Fury of the Gods with at least half a bucket of popcorn. So if you have seen Shazam! Fury of the Gods, I want to know what you thought about it. Drop me some feedback in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.